Hello, I'm Bernard Keavy. I'd like to share with you some tips for greater efficiency, either for yourselves or for your clients and customers, etc. So the first thing refers back to Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he talks about different types of tasks. He talks about things with a deadline, which are urgent, and things without a deadline, which are not urgent. And then he talks about things that are important and things that are not important. Now, we all find time to do the things that are urgent and important, the things with a deadline. And what we tend to do is have a to-do list, and we put those down, and then we tend to move on to these other things with a deadline that are less important. The difficulty a lot of people find is finding time to do the things that are important without a deadline. So from a business point of view, that's things like working on your business, working on your own knowledge, working on your skills. It's all those things that would make us much more effective and would make us more money and more successful, but we never get around to finding time to do it. And the only solution is to diarise those things beforehand. The week before, the day before, they've got to be in the diary. But there's still a danger, because then what happens is they're in the diary, and then, from personal experience, having dealt with many people, this is what tends to happen. Something crops up that has to be done. So even though they've diarised doing these things, they still don't do them, because they end up, doing all the things that have cropped up that are important instead. So a to-do list covers this half of the equation, if you like, but you need to have things diarised in advance here to cover these bits. So this stands for if it's urgent and important, you do it. If it's important but not urgent, then it has to be in the diary or it won't get done. And even if it is, it might not get done. And if it's not important, then you either delegate it if it's got a deadline, or you just dump it if it's not got a deadline. But either way, concentrate on these things to do and these things in the diary, so you make sure you find time to do them as well. Now, second tip is, when you're dealing with emails, when do you deal with them? So a big mistake is answering emails all day, etc., different times of the day. So various things I've read which I think are good ideas. The first one is, don't actually look at your emails till 12 o'clock in midday, because what you do is you do all the important things you need to do first before you look at your emails. So that could work. Or the other thing that could work is to just deal with your emails twice a day, in the morning and then in the evening. And either way, so long as you let people know by maybe setting a rule or a message, so long as you let them know when you will be looking at their emails, that will make you far more efficient. Now, the other thing that's really important is, when you have emails, they tend to go backwards and forwards with responses. And typically what you get is you get the original heading, and then you might get 7 or 8 or 9 or 20 emails backwards and forth with the original heading on. And then later on you want to find a specific thing in a specific email and you can't find it. So what you should do is you should change the heading every time you reply to an email. So if you reply and you're making a specific point, then change the heading to say that specific point. And then when it comes back again, change the heading again. And that way, at some future date, when you need to find the particular email that's got the particular point in that you're referring back to, you'll be able to find it. So I think that's very important. Brian Tracy talks about eat that frog. So what he's saying there is, at the start of the day, the first thing you do is the thing you most dread doing, the thing that, it's important, but it's a task that you would rather put off, procrastinate. He said, once you've eaten a frog, everything will taste better once you've eaten the frog first thing. Well, I'll bow to his better judgment on that one, but there you go. So what you do is you do the most important, but the task you're most dreading first, and then everything afterwards is better. And another way of looking at it, which I saw years ago, is this thing about a banjo. So banjo stands for bang a nasty job off. So the same idea. You do whatever it is you don't want to do, you do it first, so it's out of the way. So banjo, I think that's just a good way of remembering it. Now, another good idea, 70-30. What you do here is, in your diary here, one way to avoid not being able to do these things because something else has cropped up is, when you fill your diary in, leave 30% free, maybe in a block, maybe a couple of hours block, 30% in the day. And the idea is that when something crops up, which it inevitably does during the day, you don't abandon doing these things which you've already diarised. Oh, and by the way, you'll often do these, depends on when your peak time is, morning, evening, etc. But a lot of people recommend maybe the first hour and a half in the day as a golden hour, golden 90 minutes. And that's when you work on yourself and on your reading and on your skills and on your business, etc. So maybe that's first thing in the morning, but that's another thing. But the idea is if you leave 30% free in your diary, then when these things crop up here that have to be done, you don't have to cancel these things because you've left space in the diary. So diarise in that 30%. Another thing is, if you're in the middle of something and you get interrupted by someone, then it takes 3 times as long apparently to get back to being where you were before you were interrupted. So what you do is you make sure you minimise the disruption. And one way of doing that is, as soon as you're interrupted, if someone comes into the room where you're working, you stand up, you don't sit down. And as you stand up, you can sort of deal with whatever the interruption's about. You can sort of edge towards the door as well if you're very good at doing that sort of thing. And you can say things like, oh, I need to get back to work now, back to work. That's a Brian Tracy one. But basically don't sit down, stand up. Another idea is, if you have your task list, your to-do list, which obviously includes these things in the diary as well, you prioritise them A, B, C, D or A, B, C, D, E. And basically make sure you get all the A's and the A1s, the A2s done first before you do any of these. And if all you ever do is get round to some of the A's, you've probably got at least 80% of your effectiveness covered anyway, because these are the most important. And as an added bit to that, so it's A, B, C, D, Z, right? And the Z's stand for do this the night before. Because if you write them out the night before, that means 2 things. One, you won't wake up in the early hours of the morning thinking, I must remember to do such and such later, today. So because you've written it out the night before, you take that off the equation. And the other thing is, if you write them out the night before, then your subconscious mind works on them while you're asleep, and it'll actually think of ways of doing some of these A's and B's, but certainly the A's. It'll think of ways of doing them, more cleverly, more efficiently, more imaginatively, and you'll actually wake up the next day and you'll be more efficient because your subconscious mind has slept on it. So there's a few tips for you in terms of how to become more effective. There's obviously a lot more than that we could look at. If you're interested, if you look at coachforprofit.com/Bernard, there's a video there. And if you were ever interested in becoming a business coach, or you know someone who is a business coach, or you know someone who might want to take their business coaching practice to the next level, or you know an accountant who wants to offer business coaching services, you might find that interesting. And the other thing is, I offer a 200% return on investment guarantee from month 1, so long as the business meets certain parameters, which I could tell you once if we ever spoke. But if you watch the Coach for Profit video, that might give you an idea as to what's involved there as well. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, if you could like it and share it, I'd be really grateful. And thank you very much for watching. And there's some ideas for you to help you be more efficient from next week onwards. Thank you very much. To find out how to apply these strategies in your business, go to my Sales Accelerator Roadmap. I'll produce a free assessment of your marketing using an algorithm program and produce a 12-page detailed report. We'll recommend in priority order exactly what you should be doing, when you should be doing it, and how to do it. So go to www.bernardkeevymentor.com and sign up for my free Sales Accelerator Roadmap. You'll see this screen. It'll show you the Sales Accelerator Roadmap, which is free today. It'll show you how to fix your marketing, increase your sales and profits. It'll take less than 45 minutes to do, and our software will pinpoint all your opportunity areas and show you exactly what to do to improve your marketing and grow your business. So go to www.bernardkeevymentor.com and click on the green button, and you'll see that it says there it's a free process, so there's no credit card involved, there's no charge. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found that useful, and I'd like to see you at the Sales Accelerator Roadmap. Thank you very much for watching this video.